What up, YouTube? This is Steven, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be speaking about a news article that I ran across on the internet. And the title of the article is Jolin Tsai Prefers the Mr. Nice Guy Approach. And the author of this article is Kenneth Wee, and it was originally published in the publication Men's Health. All right, so what I'm going to do is read this article and give my thoughts and opinions. All right, here we go. Jolin Tsai started recording music since she was a teenager in the 90s, putting herself on our radar in 2003 with Magic, her fifth album, which sold over 1.5 million copies in Asia and earned her the distinction of being Taiwan's best-selling female singer. Okay, so right now they're just listing some facts for you, you know. And by the way, her fifth studio album is Magic, which I didn't know. I didn't know that she put out, so many albums. But I guess she was doing them like probably maybe once or twice a year. So yeah. All right. Next, following this, the pop princess secured her A-list status with a string of Chinese hit albums: Castle, J Game, Dancing Diva, Agent J, with each one achieving Asian sales of over 2 million copies. Okay, so, Jolin Tsai be selling albums apparently, throughout Asia, and they all total up to maybe like, each one selling like 2 million copies. And a quick sidebar, because, as Jolin Tsai fans know, Jolin recently released her album. Well, not recently, but she released her latest studio album, Play. And I was like, wow, like Jolin Tsai put so much work into this. I hope she gets it, receives like a lot of music sales. And based on Taiwanese music sales chart, her sales aren't extremely copious or awesome, but she is on par when it comes to Taiwanese music sales. But the thing is, Taiwanese music sales aren't as extravagant as, say, Japanese music sales or American music sales. But I'm glad to see that she is able to sell in other markets, thus being able to get more money for putting out such a quality album, And as well, she made videos for just about every song on the album as well. So I'm like, I really hope she, this investment is worth it. She really gets back the money she invested plus more. All right. Let's see. Next, she even explored her crazier side in Play, the title track off of her latest studio album, which thrust her back into the spotlight. Although the album's last song, We're All Different Yet the Same, can also claim the dubious honor of achieving as much when it made headlines for being censored in Singapore. And for those of you who don't know, her song and music video, We're All Different Yet the Same, Singapore, like their government will not allow that to be shown on, like, played on radios or on television at all. And it's because the song promotes, well, in their opinion, the song promotes homosexuality or homosexuality. Sorry. But yeah, in Singapore, based on their laws, they are like, their laws prevent that. Like, that's against their law to promote homosexuality. I can't believe I'm mispronouncing that word. Sexuality, homosexuality. But yeah, so her song wound up causing some controversy in Singapore. So it's always good to have some controversy, right? The saying, all publicity is good publicity, so to speak. All right, next. And yet, despite the fact that Jolin practically grew up in the public, as we all do these days with social media, I personally don't think it's quite the same, but I suppose there is some correlation between the two. Um, yeah, and despite the fact that Jolin grew up in the public and studied English literature at a university, specifically Fujian University, um, Fujian Catholic University, yeah. Um, and she has revealed precious little behind her tightly managed career outside of her homeland. So, yeah, Jolin grew up in front of the public eye, and she studied English literature at university, um, in college, depending on where you're from. So, I kind of would like Jolin Tsai to kind of speak a little bit about her experience studying English literature in college, at university, and at Fujian Catholic University as well. Because she doesn't really talk much about it, but I really admire that she did that because not a lot of celebrities kind of pursue formal education at that point, and I can understand why because it's just like to an extent it's like what's the point, but I'm glad that Jolin Tsai felt that it was a point to pursue higher education, and it does kind of expand your mind when you do that. And expanding your mind is important, especially when you're in the entertainment industry, because a lot of psychologists, or some psychologists, believe that like a lot of stars that kind of like child stars, especially, but a lot of stars and famous people kind of are somewhat kind of like mentally the age of like a high schooler, have the mentality in the mental age of a high schooler, perhaps, because they haven't really expanded their mind. Thus, they do these crazy things that you're kind of looking like, oh, this is kind of strange. That's a little foolish to do, but that's probably why they're doing it because they're still kind of like having the mindset of like a kid, a high schooler. So, long story short, I really admire that Jolin Tsai decided to study um, at university, attend university and study English literature. I can definitely understand her love of language, as I have also studied a language at university. So, for that, I kind of look at Jolin Tsai in a little different way, but a positive different way. All right. So next, so when the Jolin Tsai 2015 Play World Tour stopped by Singapore for a one-night only extravaganza, we took the opportunity to ask the 35-year-old about dating etiquette and what she looks for in a man. As it happens, it contrasts with her public image much more than we expect. Okay, so here is what Jolin has to say about what she looks for in a dude and whatnot. All right, there's no there's no ideal type, quote unquote. Romance can be difficult to make sense of. That is true. Sometimes it just feels right, which may be the key to finding a partner. My kind of guy is someone who is honest and kind hearted. He doesn't need to be ripped, but he does need to have hobbies, an active lifestyle, and an interest in health. That's because I usually exercise at least 3 days a week. Okay, so for Jolene, I guess there's no ideal type for her, but she says the guy doesn't have to be, ripped, quote unquote. But she wants him to, I guess, have like be active, an active lifestyle. And I don't know if that's just like, going places or like going hiking, so to speak. But, she says that she exercises at least 3 times a week. So I guess she would want her man to have an interest in health and fitness. Okay. All right. Next, you'll have to compete with her career, ... So this is what Jolin Tsai has to say. Quote unquote, I see both career and love life as equally important. Relationships should be based on mutual trust and interdependence, and at the same time allow both of us to have our personal space. So, at the same time, be intertwined, but at the same time, kind of have their own personal situation going on. So, having a life outside of the relationship or having things outside of the relationship. Okay, let's see. Next, and her friends too. When there's some downtime, I'll take the chance to catch up or party with my friends. I also turn to my friends when I'm feeling down. So you'll have to compete with her career and her friends, I guess. So I'm guessing, if you want to be Jolin Tsai's lover, you got to get with her friends. You got to make it last forever, and the friendship should never end. You know, if you want to be her lover. All right, next. Filial piety isn't out of date. And for me, I'm like, okay, I haven't really heard. I heard of the word piety, not quite sure what it means. So give me a moment to look up the definition of, this phrase that, Jolin Tsai is putting out there. You know, I guess she's showing off her English literature skills right here. I'll tell you that. All right, so here's the definition of filial: of, relating to, or benefiting a son or daughter. Filial obedience. That's their example. The second definition: having or assuming the relation of a child or offspring. All right, so let's look up piety. All right. So piety is the quality or state of being pious, as A, fidelity to natural obligations, as to parents, dutifulness in religion. The second definition, an act inspired by piety. Third definition, a conventional belief or standard. Fidelity. So basically, she is looking for I guess more or less fidelity. I'll say that. I don't know quite how filial, I think, factors in it, but whatever. She's looking for like a faithful dude, and that's not outdated to her. So next, quote unquote, among all among all the characteristics a man can have, filial piety stands out as an attractive trait that women will want in a man. Well, in men. So yeah, I understand that. I think we all want that in some aspect or another. Let's see, next. Exude confidence, not arrogance. Quote unquote. How confident you are determines your sex appeal, but I dislike rude and arrogant guys. So, again, be confident but not arrogant. Because Jolin Tsai, she doesn't like arrogance, And I do agree with her that confidence is sexy, more or less, And when you're confident, no matter, I think when you have confidence, you can kind of pull off sexiness and sex appeal more. Let's see. Next, don't leave romance to chance. Quote unquote, I believe in fate, but I also believe that love is a process between two people, understanding each other better to make a relationship work. While there may be no such thing as a perfect relationship, what's important is for a couple to have that goal in mind and work towards achieving that. So, I guess have a plan when it comes to your romance. I guess she just doesn't want to, wander around aimlessly in a romance. She wants to have somewhat of a process in her romance. And, it's good to know what you want when it comes to romance. Because if you don't, then you can end up wasting a lot of time. So it seems like Jolin Tsai knows a lot about what she wants, which is good. Because sometimes I think certain people, particularly women especially, oftentimes don't know what they exactly want when it comes to romance. Thus, you sometimes end up going down the wrong path when it comes to romance. Um, but I noticed in this article that Jolin Tsai didn't really talk about her, I guess, ideal maybe like body type or maybe like race or things like that when it comes to her man, you know. But based on the two guys that I know she's dated, Jay Chow, I think his name is, and Vivian Dawson. So it seems like she would want a man who is Han Chinese, or at least has some connection to, some genetic connection to Han Chinese culture and ness, so to speak. So, right now, her current boyfriend, Vivian Dawson, um, he is Eurasian, and her previous high-profile boyfriend, Jay Chow, I believe, is more or less 100% Han Chinese. So it seems like she likes Han Chinese men and maybe exotic men, mixed men who are at least part Han Chinese. So I guess okay, okay, I get that. I kind of like wonder who else would Jolin Tsai be open to dating as far as like races are concerned. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like getting down to the nitty gritty of this, because that factors into romance, and not romance, but at least who you date a lot when it comes to like race and ethnicity and as well as religion, but definitely like race and ethnicity. So like, would she be open to dating maybe a guy who was mixed with, say, let's see, maybe like part Han Chinese, part African, like maybe like Nigerian or something, or maybe part Han Chinese, part Mexican Indian, Han Chinese, part East Indian. Um, would she be open to dating any men who are not Han Chinese? Like, would she be willing to date a Caucasian man, um, an African man, um, a Middle Eastern man? Like, who she be dating? Like, who she open to dating? But I assume she's probably gonna end up with like a dude who's like, Taiwanese, um, but also Han Chinese. Like Taiwanese people are typically Han Chinese. So, yeah, she's going to end up with that type of dude. I think. I think that's who she's going to end up marrying. But she's probably just exploring. Trying to try out some new things. So that's why she got Vivian, who's kind of like exotic, at least to her, because he's part. Well, he's Eurasian. Part Caucasian, part Asian. So, yeah. Alright, I think I said all I have to say. So thanks a lot for watching, you guys. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Your feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next news article analysis, adios and goodbye for now.